Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. Welcome to the informational webinar on funding opportunities with the Department of Defense Peer-Reviewed Medical Research Program, or PRMRP. I'm Anu Hasangadi, of the Administrative Director of the Hepatitis B Foundation, and my co-host is Dr. Catherine Freeland, Associate Director of Public Health Research at the Foundation. We have three panelists today from the Peer-Reviewed Medical Research Program. Dr. Catherine Argue serves as the interim program manager for the Peer-Reviewed Medical Research Program, or PRMRP. Ms. Michelle Lane is the deputy program manager, and Dr. Patricia Cott is the portfolio manager for the infectious diseases portfolio within the PRMRP. Just some housekeeping notes before we start. I'd like to just mention that all the attendees will be on mute. You are welcome to send in comments through the chat feature, and also answer any questions or ask any questions in the Q&A window. Also, as a reminder, this session is being recorded, and we will make this available later on our YouTube channel. So I just wanted, before I hand it over to Dr. Argue, I just wanted to mention that the panel members are going to be sharing with us an overview of current funding opportunities, where to apply, and a summary of the resources and strategies for success. Most importantly, this webinar is a great opportunity for you to be able to ask questions directly to the PRMRP program office. So with that, I'll hand it over to Dr. Argue, and I'll stop sharing.
All right, thank you so much, Anu, for the warm introduction. It's my pleasure to be here today with the hepatitis B community to tell you about CDMRP, specifically about the peer-reviewed medical research program and the funding opportunities that we have for hepatitis B for fiscal year 2025. So I am going to play an informational video to get us started. It's just over 20 minutes long, and then following the video, we will have plenty of time for questions and answers. If you think of things while the video is playing, please feel free to go ahead and post them in the Q&A box or the chat, and myself and my team, we will work on having those addressed for you all. So let me just share my screen so that you can see the video, and we will get this started.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening. We're excited to see that you're interested not only in the congressionally directed medical research programs, but in the peer-reviewed medical research program. In this presentation, I'm going to first give a brief overview of the CDMRP. Then, I'll talk about the CDMRP program cycle and review process, including some specifics about the peer-reviewed medical research program. I'll also talk about current funding opportunities and where to apply, and the presentation will end with resources and strategies for success. The CDMRP's vision is to transform healthcare through innovative and impactful research. I encourage you to really let these words sink in: innovative and impactful. We aim to fund research that other funding organizations don't, and we do this by responsibly managing collaborative research that discovers, develops, and delivers healthcare solutions for service members and their families, veterans, and the American public. To the right, you can see our star graphic. Each point on the star explains the who, what, where, why, and how of the CDMRP. Congress established the congressionally directed medical research programs in response to a grassroots effort in 1992 led by the breast cancer advocacy community. The breast cancer community specifically requested that patient advocates have a voice in determining what research received funding. That effort resulted in a congressional appropriation of funds for breast cancer research and initiated a unique partnership among the public, Congress, and the military. The CDMRP aims to fund innovative and impactful biomedical research everywhere, including with industry partners and academic researchers not only across the United States, but internationally as well. The CDMRP funding opportunities are publicly announced, and investigators and their organizations who meet the eligibility criteria specified in the funding opportunity may apply. To avoid funding duplication with other funding organizations, the CDMRP collaborates with the NIH and the VA to target unfunded and unmet research gaps and works diligently to catch any overlap. projects are not allowed to receive funding from more than one federal source at a time. After its initial appropriation for breast cancer research in 1992, Congress appropriated additional funding for other targeted research programs. This slide shows a list of the congressionally identified research programs for fiscal year 2025. This year, the peer-reviewed medical research program received $150 million in appropriations for 56 topic areas. For the PRMRP, the list of topic areas serves as the starting point to design the strategy for each year's program cycle. We'll talk more about the fiscal year 2025 topic areas shortly. Now, let's talk about the CDMRP program cycle and review process. Here we show how the program cycle starts at the vision setting meeting and then moves through the release of funding opportunities, the application process, award negotiation and management, and ends with the award closeout. All CDMRP programs follow this same process. Programs hold annual vision setting meetings to define strategies and funding opportunities to execute the appropriation. We annually adapt the program's vision and investment strategy to allow for rapid response based on congressional language and changing needs as described by the community. The CDMRP is only allowed to release funding opportunities after we receive our appropriations. Applicants then submit a pre-application, which is either a letter of intent or a pre-proposal, depending on the specific award mechanism. Pre-applications are the first step to applying for funding from the CDMRP. The CDMRP uses letters of intent for planning purposes only. There is no review process for these letters. Pre-proposals, however, undergo a review and selection process. Applicants will receive an invite or not invite decision. The CDMRP will reject full applications from uninvited pre-proposals. When the application period closes, we then proceed with peer review and finally programmatic review. After we receive the appropriation, it usually takes a few months for us to get through all phases of our program cycle, including the review process. Depending on the award mechanism, there can be up to 18 months between submitting your application and the time you receive notification of your funding recommendation. The CDMRP uses a two-tier research application review process. The two-tier review process is a partnership between peer review and programmatic review. Both reviews rely on a dynamic interaction among scientists, clinicians, and consumers from advocacy organizations, patients, family members and caregivers, members of the military, and other research or clinical specialists as applicable. The first level of review is the peer review. During scientific peer review, reviewers measure applications against established criteria to determine the application's technical merit. This is a criterion-based evaluation of the entire application. The outcome of peer review is a summary statement with a numeric score of the application, but this score does not reflect its standing relative to other applications. Applicants will not receive a summary statement of feedback until the conclusion of the entire review process. Because of the nature of our appropriations and the fluidity of our programs and our topic areas, we do not have standing peer review panels. Each year, we recruit peer reviewers with the expertise to review the applications received for that year's funding opportunities. During programmatic review, reviewers evaluate applications with strong scientific merit as determined by the peer reviewers for potential impact, adherence to the intent of the award mechanism, relevance to program goals, and portfolio composition. Applications are directly compared to one another. Remember, innovation and impact are important to our applications. We want to fund research that directly impacts patients and that moves the field forward. Sometimes it's not the applications with the highest scientific score from peer review that get recommended for funding, and this is because the panel members consider multiple criteria at the programmatic review. The goal is to not draw a pay line, but to recommend for funding those applications that offer the highest promise to fulfill the programmatic goals that we set forth in our program announcements. Programmatic panels include consumers, clinicians, researchers, and a wide variety of representatives from government organizations. We also include additional ad hoc reviewers depending on the specific program needs each year. Peer and programmatic reviewers from previous years are listed on each program's website. When the CDMRP began, the National Academy of Medicine recommended a model for application review. This model encouraged community participation, and we are very proud that consumers participate in all stages of the program cycle, from setting program priorities and investment strategies to participating in application review and making funding recommendations. Consumers are the true north and the foundation of the CDMRP, so their voices are equal to the scientists throughout the review process. Consumer reviewers participate in all levels of review, so it's important to understand who consumers are and what their role is. Consumers are people with lived experience of the research topic. These people are often patients or survivors, caregivers and family members, and even patient advocates. Applications should emphasize the impact that the research will have on these consumers. Consumers are our true north, and in the review process, their votes carry equal weight to the scientists on the panels. Let's shift focus to the Peer-Reviewed Medical Research Program, or PRMRP, because this program has 56 topic areas, any one of which may pique your interest. Congress first appropriated funds to the PRMRP in 1999. Our congressional language is very broad and non-prescriptive. Congress directs us to support research of clear scientific merit and with direct relevance to military health, but only in congressionally specified topic areas. The vision of the PRMRP is to improve the health, care, and well-being of all military service members and their families and veterans. To reach that vision, the program's mission is to encourage, identify, select, and manage medical research projects of clear scientific merit that lead to impactful advances in health care of service members and their families and veterans. Every year, the PRMRP receives a list of topic areas to address with that year's appropriation. Many of these topic areas vary from one year to the next. For example, Congress did not identify scleroderma and tuberculosis as topic areas in fiscal year 2022, but did for fiscal year 2023. Topic areas new to the PRMRP for fiscal year 2025 appear in blue font: Angelman syndrome, cardiac health, hereditary and acquired ataxia, Hermansky-Pudlak syndrome, menopause, orthotics and prosthetics outcome, Parkinson's, post-acute sequelae of SARS-CoV-2 infection, reconstructive transplant, tick-borne disease, traumatic brain injury and psychological health, tuberous sclerosis complex, and vision. By law, applications must address at least one topic area. Congress does not specify how to allocate funds for each of these topic areas, and the topics compete among themselves. We're looking for research with the highest scientific merit and potential for impactful advances in healthcare. The PRMRP's overall strategy divides the topic areas into 8 portfolios that align with major areas of scientific research: autoimmune disorders and immunology, cardiovascular health, infectious diseases, internal medicine, orthopedic medicine, neuroscience and behavioral health, respiratory health, and rare diseases and conditions. This slide shows how the topic areas are assigned among the portfolios. It is most important here to remember that there are no allocated funds for each of the portfolios. Applications must identify the portfolio and topic area that the research aims to address. The PRMRP sets the research priorities for that year by creating portfolio-specific strategic goals spanning the continuum of care, from prevention and diagnosis through treatment and epidemiology. Key stakeholders, including DoD leaders, government counterparts, and advocacy groups, work with the programmatic panel to create these goals. Applications must address at least one topic area and one strategic goal against which the application will be assessed. As an example, here are the fiscal year 2025 topic areas and strategic goals for the Rare Diseases and Conditions portfolio. You'll find the applicable topic areas and then the strategic goals aligned to the stages of the continuum of care. Applications should describe how the project addresses both the topic area and a strategic goal. Next, we'll describe the funding opportunities offered for fiscal year 2025 and the application submission process. This year, the PRMRP offers 2 award mechanisms. The first is the TTDA, or Technology and Therapeutic Development Award. TTDAs are product-driven and intended to support product development toward a clinical application. The TTDA can support both tangible and knowledge products. Upon completion, tangible products, such as drugs or devices, should be ready to enter clinical trials. This mechanism is commonly used to support the experiments needed for an investigational new drug or an investigation device exemption application to the FDA. Importantly, this award mechanism cannot support basic mechanistic research or a clinical trial. The TTDA mechanism can also support knowledge products, such as clinical practice guidelines or clinical decision-making tools. Whether the product is a tangible item or a knowledge item, the experiments proposed should take the product all the way to clinical trials or evaluation. Preliminary data is required to demonstrate that the product is at the appropriate stage of development for this award mechanism. Next is the CTA, or Clinical Trial Award. As you might guess, the CTA supports the evaluation of a drug, device, or other intervention in a clinical trial. If the intervention requires an IND or IDE, then those applications must have been submitted to the FDA before the application submission deadline, and the IND or IDE application must be approved before the CDMRP can fund the award. The CTA mechanism can also be used to test interventions that are not regulated by the FDA. Preclinical animal research is not supported by this award mechanism. The PRMRP requires only a letter of intent as the pre-application for these award mechanisms. If you recall, a letter of intent is not reviewed or evaluated. It serves only for administrative purposes. In the one-page letter, you'll tell us which portfolio, topic area, and strategic goal the proposed research will address. Your brief research description will allow us to start forming our peer review panels with the appropriate experts. For both award mechanisms, letters of intent are due June 9th, 2025, and full applications are due by July 21st. The CDMRP posts funding opportunity announcements or program announcements to their website, grants.gov, the Electronic Biomedical Research Application Portal, or EBRAP, SAM.gov, and to LinkedIn. To quickly find the opportunities on the CDMRP website, first go to the homepage and then click Funding Opportunities and then choose Program Funding Opportunities. When applying for funding, please note that all deadlines are listed at the top of the announcement. Within the announcement, a table of contents details information about the award mechanism and application requirements. The award information section has all of the information you need to know about which mechanism is appropriate for you. The announcement also includes the evaluation criteria so that you are clear what is expected of your application. Please note that the CDMRP program staff do not directly work with applicants on their materials. Even if you understand the expectations by the time you get to page 5, please keep reading. Attention to detail and grantsmanship goes a long way. All PRMRP applications must include a few required attachments, including a project narrative, supporting documentation, technical and lay abstract, a statement of work, post-award transition plan, prior outcome statement, representations, and an intragovernmental or intramural budget form. All applications include impact and relevance to military health statements that explain how the proposed research will address the healthcare needs of service members, veterans, military beneficiaries, and the American public. Please note these are two separate attachments for the TTDA, while the CTA combines the impact and relevance to military health statement. In addition to these common attachments, each award mechanism requires specific application components relevant to the type of research they support. For example, the Clinical Trial Award requires the application describe the target study population and the regulatory strategy, among others. The Technology and Therapeutic Development Award needs an attachment addressing the statistical plan and data analysis. Let's take a moment to consider the relevance to military health statement. At the CDMRP, each program, including the PRMRP, aligns with the CDMRP's vision of transforming healthcare for service members, their families, veterans, and the American public. Some ideas can benefit the civilian population and be related to military health. Aspects of the targeted disease and condition that have direct relevance to military health is something that you should investigate and really describe in your application. For example, a family member having a serious disease or condition can impact a service member's readiness. Describing this link between the research idea and improving healthcare for service members and their families and veterans plays a key role in the review of all applications to the CDMRP. The program announcements list specific criteria for use in either peer review or programmatic review. For peer review, these criteria may be scored or unscored and are listed in decreasing order of importance. Each of these criteria, such as impact shown here, includes a bulleted list of desired qualities that peer reviewers will use to evaluate your application. We encourage all applicants to consider this list while preparing their applications to ensure that the application meets all the requirements. After peer review comes programmatic review. This slide shows the criteria that the programmatic review panel will use to evaluate your application. Important criteria include the proposed research's relevance to military health, the relevance to identified topic area, and how well the application meets the portfolio-specific strategic goals. As a reminder, applications with the best scientific scores may not always be recommended for funding. Our programmatic panel also considers which applications will fill gaps within our portfolio or help achieve the program's strategic goals. Our programmatic panel is listed on our website, and we encourage you to look at the individuals who will make the recommendations for funding. This slide summarizes the application submission process, starting by viewing program announcements and then submitting a pre-application before submitting the full application. Both principal investigators and business officials play a role in the application submission process. All organizations will submit pre-applications through eBrep. Extramural or non-DoD organizations will submit full applications through grants.gov, while intramural or DoD organizations will submit again through eBrep. There is no competitive advantage to submitting through eBrep or grants.gov. All applications are pulled together prior to the start of the review process. This year, pre-applications are due by 5 p.m. Eastern Time on June 9th for both the Technology and Therapeutic Development Award and the Clinical Trial Award. Full applications are due by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time on July 21st. To end this presentation, we'd like to leave you with some resources and strategies for success. The most helpful strategy to share with you is the importance of carefully reading the program announcements. We do not work with investigators to tailor their applications, so we put every piece of information that you will need into the announcement itself. The CDMRP program officers will not be able to give applicants individual attention through the submission process. When preparing an application, please ensure that you understand the goals of the program, the topic areas and strategic goals, the intent of the award mechanism, and the review criteria. Funding opportunity announcements contain all the information that you will need to complete your application. Make sure that you review the strategic goals and topic areas, as well as the required elements, including the deadlines. Deadlines are extremely important. Outside of catastrophic events like a hurricane or something truly out of the ordinary, the DoD does not provide a grace period for pre-application or application submissions. Deadlines are deadlines. If you submit even a minute late, the application is automatically withdrawn. There is nothing that the program office can do, so we encourage you to allow enough time for submission. Many applications come from academic institutions and are submitted through a business office, so please keep details in mind when planning to submit your application. As promised, we'd like to share some strategies for success. When preparing an application, please keep in mind the relevance, impact, innovation, and feasibility of the proposed research. Proposed research should align with the specific guidelines in the program announcement. The announcements should clearly articulate translatability. How will this work make a difference? If you propose something truly innovative, make sure that you provide a clear rationale for testing new, potentially high-risk ideas or novel approaches. And last, make sure that you clearly outline approaches for a contingency plan. Please ensure that you include evidence of appropriate expertise related to the proposed project, that you have enough statistical power for validating and generating meaningful results, and that you have the availability and access to critical resources needed to complete the proposed work. Planning and timelines are very important. Please make sure that you give yourself, your collaborators, and even your business office enough time to complete the work and submit the pre-application and full application on time. Remember, we do not provide grace periods. One strategy to ensure that your application meets all of the requirements is to have a colleague you trust read your application, maybe even more than once. Please keep in mind who will be reading your application. The review panels include non-scientist consumers, so we encourage you to write clearly and without scientific jargon, particularly in the lay abstract attachment. Our program page has a lot of information, including our strategic plan, a program booklet, and other program-specific resources. On the main CDMRP website, you'll find annual reports, a webinar series, videos, and other great resources. We've also prepared 2 specific videos describing the journey of an application. We encourage you to look at the website before and while you're working on your application. You can always sign up to our listserv on the website or through eBrep to receive communications from specific programs or for all the programs. Subscribing to the listserv will notify you of open funding opportunities and help you stay up to date on CDMRP news. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. We hope this helps you better understand and prepare for the application process.
All right, that concludes the video that we had for you today. I just want to highlight a few key points. I know it was said in the video, but it really cannot be overstated the importance of reading the entirety of the program announcement to make sure you fully understand the intent of the award mechanism. One of the best ways to understand the intent of the mechanism is to take a look at the peer review criteria, because that's how our reviewers are going to be assessing whether or not the research proposed is a good fit for the award mechanism. One thing I want to make sure to point out is that for the clinical trial award, the reasonableness of the budget is scored peer review criteria. That's a little bit different than how most programs do things where budget is unscored. So please make sure that you're taking the time to really make sure that the budget that you are proposing is a match for the work that is being proposed. We do have a relatively high limit on that award mechanism. So it's of course expected that if you're coming in with a smaller trial such as a phase 0 or something like that, that the budget would not be all the way at the top of the cost limit. I also want to mention for the Technology Therapeutic Development Award, on the video that you just saw, it specified a total cost limit of $3.5 million. That is the accurate total cost limit. The program announcement was updated earlier this week. So if you took a look at it prior to this week, you would have seen that there was a direct cost limit of 2.5. Now it has been updated for that total cost limit of 3.5 million. And then the last statement that I just really want to emphasize is that pre-applications are absolutely required. I know that we are fast approaching our deadline. You have just a little over a week to get those letters of intent into us. But if you're on the fence about whether or not you would like to apply, please go ahead and just submit the letter of intent, because without it, you will not be able to submit the full application. There's no need to wait for an invitation. After you submit the letter of intent, you can just move right in to submitting the full application, but we absolutely cannot accept the full application without the letter of intent. If you do change your mind about a few things after submitting the letter of intent, you can always submit an appeal to change information from your letter of intent to the full application, and you also are not locked in. There's no obligation that you actually move forward with submitting the full application. So no harm done. Hopefully it doesn't take too much time just to put that one pager together and give yourself the best chance at obtaining funding this year. So with that, I am happy to open it up and I will take any questions from the group.
So I don't see currently any questions, Catherine, but I did have, and just for my own information, I just had a question. So you talked about the pre-application, there's a letter of intent, and then there's also a pre-proposal. Could you just clarify the differences? I know the letter of intent you had said was not actually reviewed, but if you could please just clarify the 3 terms.
Yes, so all CDMRP applications require some type of a pre-application. There are 2 types of pre-application. So some mechanisms will use the letter of intent and other mechanisms will use the pre-proposal. Both of the PRMRP mechanisms this year use the letter of intent mechanism, which is just that one pager that is not reviewed. It is the pre-proposal is the alternative type of pre-application, and that is the one that is actually screened and you have to wait for the invitation to submit. So that one is not applicable to our program this year.
Okay, thank you. And I encourage anyone, if they have questions, please put them in the Q&A or if you want in the chat, and we can address those once they come up.
We did have one question just come through the chat. I'll just read it. Can you speak directly to any specific interests in hepatitis B or any specific subtopics within hepatitis B?
So all we have for further directing what type of research we would like to see this year is the strategic goals. It's really up to the applicant, though, to interpret the strategic goals and try and address as best as possible and make the case for themselves that the research that they are proposing is responsive to those strategic goals. We try to not be too prescriptive with asking anything specific because we really rely on seeing the applications that come in to know what the best research going on in the field is. And we leave it up to the peer review panels to assess what has the best scientific merit rather than dictating too much from the program side.
Are there any other questions? Please feel free to put them in the chat or the Q&A.
We did just get another question come through. Since pre-application is only the letter of intent, does this mean every letter of intent should go ahead to prepare for full application?
Yes, as soon as you submit your letter of intent, you can move forward with preparation and submission of your full application. There's no need to really wait in between the two.
Thank you very much. I don't see any other questions. I know that Anu just put a link in the chat, but I'll make sure that goes to attendees as well.
Okay, well, I think if there are no other questions, thank you very much, Dr. Argy, for providing this informational webinar. As you mentioned before, this is recorded and we will be posting this on our YouTube channel. And I encourage you to also see the link that's in the chat that provides a lot of information as well on all the information that Dr. Argy mentioned, as well as descriptions and including how the peer reviewers and consumer reviewers are selected and what the process is in their recruitment. If you have any other comments, Dr. Argy, that you'd want to share, you feel free to do so now. Otherwise, thank you very much for giving us the time to ask you questions.
Of course, it was my pleasure. Thank you so much to yourself and Catherine for hosting. If any questions do come up from the participants or from those that are viewing the webinar after the fact, hopefully, I know you don't mind if they can submit those to the foundation, and you can always feel free to communicate with me via email, and I can answer additional questions from the community that way. I'm looking forward to seeing everything that comes in this year.
Yep, thank you very much. And with that, thank you everyone for joining us, and have a great rest of the day.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.